Now it is live, I am starting. A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Dr. Priya Pillai, librarian of BTTC, welcomes you all to the fourth day of our FDP webinar series for school teachers organized by our BTTC Alumni Association. I take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Balani for conducting series of webinars during this pandemic period. Many are stuck at home and was not sure what to do during this quarantine period. Dr. Balani explored and facilitated learning by collaborating with organizations from diverse arenas. This helped many to learn from experts from varied fields: app development, website creation, video editing, yoga, mindfulness, social media, digital tools, research. We dealt many topics in our previous webinars. In the 21st century, remarkable and exciting changes are occurring related to new scientific discoveries, Internet of Things in the field of robotics and artificial intelligence. This century is called the age of digital technologies and information. How is the school changing in the new century? What transformation in the field of education we observe during this pandemic period? How does learning theory change? Do the teachers succeed in modern changes? Even we have seen the reviews in journals and newspapers regarding the quality of online teaching. The teachers need to be trained in innovative pedagogies in order to engage the students in online environment, along with how to create digital lessons. With this objective, we are organizing today's session with the theme Innovative Pedagogies. Let's start the day with prayers. Thank you. Before starting our session, I would like to share yesterday's session highlights. Dr. Mitesh Gala, alumnus of BTTC, delivered an insightful, informative, and interactive session on how to create digital lesson plan with videos and video editing. This session was moderated by BTTC faculty, Dr. Neelu Verma. Mr. Mitesh Gala demonstrated Filmora software, VideoScript, Vendicam, and screen recording software. In a simple way, he showed how to create videos, split two videos, merge images, music, and videos together. He also explained how a teacher can reach the community by publishing the content online through YouTube channel. Today we have with us Miss Aruna Mundir, Principal, Podar International School. She is our alumna from 2005-6 batch. Digital technologies change our way of life, way of communication, way of thinking, feelings, channels of influence on other people, social skills, and social behavior. The high-tech environment, computers, smartphones, video games, internet search engines reshape the human brain. Yes, our resource person definitely going to touch these areas with her insights and experience in her session today. With this note, I now invite Arna Shroff to introduce the resource person. Over to you.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here today. I would like to introduce our guest of honor for the day, Mrs. Aruna Mundia. If I had to describe Mrs. Aruna using a quote, then it would go something like this. When educating the minds of our youth, we must not forget to educate their hearts. Today, our BTTC family takes immense pleasure in welcoming our very own alumna, Mrs. Aruna Mundia. She is the head of school at a renowned institute of Podar International School for the last 7 years. Before being the head of school, she also taught biology to ISC and IBDP level students at Hiranandani Foundation School, Powai, and Cambridge Junior College. She was also a zoology lecturer at Wilson College, Mumbai. Being a passionate zoologist, ma'am has keen interest in nature and wildlife expeditions. Along with an impressive resume, ma'am also enjoys dancing and is a trained Bharatnatyam professional. Thank you, ma'am, for all your consistent efforts in the field of education, and may you continue to transform as many student lives as possible. On that note, I would like to invite Mrs. Aruna Mundayat to take over the webinar and enlighten all of us present here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnaz. Good afternoon. Respected Balani sir, Principal Bombay Teachers Training College, faculty advisors, dear colleagues, teachers, students, and leaders. It's a great privilege to be a part of such an academic gathering. Sir, under your leadership, you and your team of educators at BTTC are at the fore of cutting-edge educational outreach. The preparation that goes into organizing each speaker is a mammoth one. Your teachers and students do it so seamlessly. The students of BTTC are getting hands-on learning on how to organize and conduct events. Now, on a virtual platform, this is the best aspect of teacher education, and I have always wished for this aspect to become a part of all forms of teaching and learning. Yes, taking inspiration from my own alma mater, I introduce you all to my topic of presentation this fine afternoon, innovative pedagogies. Just give me a minute, I'll share the screen. Just a minute. I hope it's visible.
Yes. Yes, it is visible.
Child teaching a class and the others are not sitting in a regular classroom scenario. No, they look like they are in a park. Children seem to be having a lot of fun. Somebody's climbing up the tree, the children walking around, they look very happy. Quite a high-tech place. There's a kitchen lab and children with the teachers interacting and doing something. Seems very spaced out, quite a modern kind of a space.
Aruna, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Lot of disturbance are coming. Even your other equipment, please mute it. I think so.
Yes, ma'am. All equipments are muted.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a minute, but I'll turn on the fan also. I think this should be.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
fun.
better. Yeah. Okay. So, um, just going back to the high tech kitchen laboratories. Um, a very inviting place, a very inviting space for children to sit and read. And it looks like, wow, I would want to pick up all the books. And Dr. Seuss, the character is also there waiting to get me to read. Another amazing infrastructure, an amazing space to explore and to move around. Now, looking at these pictures, we think that, oh my God, these places look like the perfect places to teach, to learn. And at sometimes maybe we'll feel, oh, my school doesn't provide these kind of things, and what do we do? My point here would be, don't fret. It's definitely an inviting environment. It's definitely beautiful cutting edge spaces that we saw recently in the previous slides, but we all come from schools which mostly have very simple and regular experience as a teacher. As a learning experience is only as good as the leadership team and the faculty team that a school or a department has. It's not the great infrastructure or the great environment that we have that just adds to the beauty of the entire aspect, but it is always the school leadership and the teachers, the faculty members, that make the institution worthy of whatever stature that they achieve. As a teacher, I have always enjoyed being innovative, and I have tried different strategies which I learned during my B.Ed days and took it forward by attending seminars and workshops, understood several things to understand how to make teaching learning fun. Like the student who introduced me said, I've been very passionate about zoology, and so teaching biology came very naturally to me, and I was very excited every single day when I would go into class to teach. So when I would go with the excitement, I would have children sharing the same excitement with me, and somehow the whole class would become vibrant, and then the teaching became more animate and more in-depth. So when animation and in-depth associations happen, learning becomes seamless and learning becomes the second nature of what I feel is, when I thinking that am I doing enough? Should I do something in schools which offered the IB program, which offered the Cambridge program? They gave me an opportunity to look at different insights, an opportunity to look at something else apart from regular teaching learning. All the strategies that we learn as a B.Ed student, all the strategies we start and want to implement as a new teacher in an institution, I started exploring, and IB Cambridge schools gave me those opportunities. But simultaneously, I was also teaching in an ICSE school in the grades 11 and 12. What I realized, teaching an Indian curriculum and an international curriculum was, they're not very different from one another, because I am the teacher who's going into the class, and I can make all the difference in the class to make the learning as effective as it can be. So my takeaway as a teacher and now as a leader is that it's you who makes things possible. So as we go forward in this presentation, I think you will realize that more effectively. So this particular screen that's right in front is a fun place, a place where we learned a few things, made a lot of friends. That's a place that we all know. That's my school. We all remember and have beautiful memories from our school days, and we draw a lot of inspiration and a lot of apprehensions from our school times. So, dear colleagues, dear faculty members who are attending this, one thing that we must all remember is that to make the experience as holistic as possible is the responsibility of the school leadership, the academic and departmental leadership, and the teachers who teach the program. It's all in our hands, in a manner of speaking. Now, when we look at this aerial shot, we see that there are young children sitting around the table and they're working. There's some gadgets with them. There are mobile phones and laptops, a few cups of coffee over there, some sheets of paper, and they're sitting together and analyzing something. This is possibly also a scene that we see nowadays in corporates. Most of the corporates have teams, you have team leaders. Work is done in a more collaborative manner. Standalone work in many places is possibly lesser. There's a lot of collaboration that happens. Sometimes collaboration may not be just between two people in one office. Collaboration could also be virtual, just like how we are doing right now, with somebody as far away as maybe Ireland or the United States or Australia. So the whole idea is to connect together, come on a common platform, decide the common goals, common interests, and move forward. So it is extremely essential that in today's day, we teach our children what they would be preparing for in years to come as they become the future torchbearers of the world. I like this picture because it kind of sends across a nice imagery of how an educational institution looks. If you would look, there's a library on one side, children moving here and there, there's a class going on, a teacher is engaging the children in some kind of learning. You find that there are some children who are reading and they're having some kind of discussions. Some children who are in the lab, they are on a microscope exploring some things. And you will also find one or two children who are just sitting by themselves and possibly finishing out an essay or a project that they need to submit. These look like bigger children, but this is something that we all experience and know in a regular academic life. These are all parts of what our school life, college life comprises of. We speak, and we might continue to speak about the fact that 21st century skills are the most important thing for developing children, young adults, and us as well, because we are going through the 21st century. And one of the most important things that emerge during this time is the fact that the child or an individual should be able to think critically. The ability to critically analyze any material, anything provided to them, is of extreme importance. Critical analysis talks about several aspects. If you would notice, it is mentioned over here. There's engaging in a problem, trying to solve it, being open-minded about things. Open-minded would be that, okay, I have an opinion, but let me listen to what you have to say. And when a team comes together, listening to one another, and then coming to a common point where we feel, yes, this is a consensus, we all can agree upon it. Or even if I do not agree upon it, this makes sense and it is for the larger good. So being open-minded indicates all those kind of things. To be able to reflect on whatever we do, whatever we learn. Why am I learning this? What is it going to be used for in future? Even if it's not going to be useful directly, does it have an indirect application, implication? These are things that we learn while we reflect about our learning. To be able to communicate clearly and accurately. As we go forward in this presentation, this particular aspect of clear communication, accurate communication, and thinking critically and creatively. These two aspects are something that we will see through this particular session as I go forward. Just a quick thought of what does a critical thinker really do? What does a critical thinker really ask? What kind of questions would he or she ask? These are a few instances of things. This is something that we can adopt even into our classroom situations. Like, what's happening? Why is it important? I mean, why should I really know about it? What do I not see? There may be some things that's very obvious right at the beginning of the topic. What do I not see? And that's something that a teacher, a facilitator actually can encourage children to look into, to explore the aspects of a topic that is not already understood. So what don't I see? Then how do I know? So what are the things I should do to really understand that? Who's saying it? Okay, I am collecting information, but is that information authenticated? Is that information accurate? Is that information useful for anybody? You, me, children, for anybody to make an opinion, we need to be extremely certain about these factors. If we just go by hearsay, we would possibly be believing the facts that the earth is still square and the sun goes around the sun and the earth goes around the sun. We would believe in these kind of aspects. And what we need to understand is we need to be very, very clear about whom we listen to, what kind of information we gather. What else? What else is available here? What I'm what else can I search? What can I explore to understand this topic further? That's another thing that a critical thinker can be interested in. So these are things that through learning, through classroom activities, through different topics, we try to instill in children. All educational faculties, right from say sciences to humanities to art and design to physical education to geography to Hindi to French to whichever subject that we look at, you will realize that critical thinking becomes an integral part of learning. It is very essential. If critical thinking is imbibed in learners, their learning becomes more effective and it also becomes lifelong. I think that is something which we all instill right from BEd days to when we become teachers. When we are all here, we're learning this new online platform. The fact that we're trying to adopt to the new situation. These things are all things that teach us several things. Now, when we look at this, I would, what I thought is if I am speaking about innovative pedagogies, our school and some of the working about. So,
Aruna, your voice is not audible.
A few things here. These images just show about how vibrant the school can be made with all the children's work put up in classrooms. Okay, hello, can you hear me, ma'am? Is it fine?
In between, it is interrupting. In between,
okay, must be my network.
Yeah, I think must be your network, or you are moving backward or forward or something. Or
no, not at all. Not moving. Must be my network.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Please inform me. I will hold for a few minutes and start in case I am, if I'm not audible. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So we were talking about my school and the activities at school. So we encourage children to do a lot of hands-on learning in the form of interdisciplinary units, inquiry-based learnings, science fair, and so on. So I'm going to go into the details of one such type of learning, inquiry-based learning. First question that anybody would think is, what is inquiry-based learning and how is it really different from the regular learning? Let's have a look. I'll play a small video and then we continue.
Incorporating inquiry-based learning into your classroom can seem like many things. Expensive.
All right, everyone. Now that we're done playing with liquid nitrogen, we're going to build a vacuum cannon.
Too open-ended.
I made a ball of tape.
Intimidating.
Can a black hole exist without an event horizon?
Or perhaps even simply time-consuming.
I'm sorry, we don't have time to go over that right now.
There's actually a famous St. Bernard named Barry, and Barry has been found to have rescued about 70 people.
Inquiry-based learning doesn't have to be any of these things. In fact, inquiry-based learning is a very good thing. Research has shown that it has positive effect on learning, leading to increased motivation and deeper understanding. Oh, and students love it. But if a teacher has never done inquiry-based learning before, or it is something that is only occasionally performed in the classroom, what steps can be taken to fully integrate inquiry into a class's normal routine? Let's see how Andrea does it. Andrea here is an elementary school teacher. This week, Andrea is going to teach her grade 2 class about simple machines.
We are going to talk about the simple machines. Now,
Andrea's background, however, is not in science, and she isn't an expert in simple machines. Before she can teach her class about simple machines, she herself has to become familiar with the topic. The best place for Andrea to start is by looking at the curriculum. This will help her learn exactly what the students need to learn, and perhaps more importantly, what is not part of the grade 2 curriculum. As a teacher, Andrea has limited time, and so doing this will help her filter out what is extraneous. Now that Andrea knows what her grade 2 class needs to learn about simple machines, where can she go to learn or brush up on the content? Textbooks are of course good for this, but in this day and age, some simple online searches can get you some good results fast. Trusted YouTube channels, museum websites, and yes, even Wikipedia can all be useful. Andrea has to be careful though. Some sites like Wikipedia can often bog down topics with very high-level content that might not be relevant to the situation at hand. Andrea shouldn't forget about work colleagues and PD Day contacts she's made as good sources of info.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Melanie. I was wondering if you had some materials I could use for my activity today.
For sure, I have lots of things for you.
Once Andrea feels like she's gotten a good grasp of the content to teach, she now has to find some sort of inquiry activity for her class. Again, lots of activities and things to build can be found online, as well as through colleagues. Soon, what Andrea finds online will spark her imagination and give her ideas of how to link the content to society and the environment, which is a big component of the curriculum. Whatever she ends up finding though, Andrea might have to make her own activity modifications to fit her class's specific needs. As Andrea is searching, there are a few things that she can keep in mind to help her find an activity that is appropriate. For one, in order to save time, it's a good idea for her to search for something that students can assemble rather than for Andrea to have to assemble everything herself. Also, because teachers typically don't have big budgets, one thing Andrea can do is to find activities that don't require many materials and that can be reused from supplies Andrea already has, are available at school, or through her school board or that she can buy at a dollar store. With Inquiry, something Andrea will be doing is splitting her class into small work groups of no more than 6. Andrea will have to take that into consideration when getting her supplies. Also, Andrea should make sure to design an activity that she is comfortable doing in class. Safety should be a priority. In the next segment, Andrea will introduce a series of activities that will push her students towards open inquiry.
So, when we talk about inquiry-based learning in short form is called IBL, and inquiry-based learning is something which is very prevalent, especially in the international schools, which in my opinion should be prevalent everywhere. A simple reason that children, as we all know, are very curious. They keep asking questions all the time. I feel children naturally are critical thinkers. They don't take anything down just if you tell them, I say so. It's not necessary that the children will just accept whatever it is that you're saying. They'll ask you, why? Also, how does that happen? Okay, but why should I not do it? So until and unless they are convinced, they are not going to accept any information given to them. So there is an innate ability for children to inquire, to ask good questions, really good questions, sometimes too many questions. And it is just our job as teachers inside classrooms to channelize their ability to ask questions into a very nice methodic manner, which is a little more scientific. So they know how to ask what questions, the correct questions at the right time. So moving into showing an IBL on a regular day, a glimpse around in classrooms. So I've taken pictures of things that have happened in my school and the kind of activities that children do around in the school during an inquiry kind of a lesson. So I'll start by speaking about when we start a topic, we all know we need an induction, a set induction. You introduce the topic, you make it, it's like a trailer of a movie. You have to make it exciting. You have to elicit the interest of the learners. And you could do that in several ways. You take them from known to unknown. You show them a video and you ask them, get them excited and ask them, are you interested in learning more about something? You do an experiment and then you show them, okay, this is something that happens. Do you want to know more about it? So there are several methods in which it can be done. So the first aspect of IBL would be to elicit the interest in the topic that we're going to inquire. So the teacher does that. She has her set of children and she takes an orientation. She or he, teachers could be male and female. And then the children are broken down into small groups. It depends on the strength of the school. So if the classroom size is around 30 to 35 children or 40 children, then maybe you could divide it accordingly into 6 or 8 children. 5 to 6 children usually work well, but depending on your class size and your idea, you could maybe go up to say 8 or 9 children in a group and divide them into groups. The orientation has certain instructions that are given to the children. Based on those instructions, they may have an instruction sheet also, which gives them the hand holding step by step how to go about things. So children sit in groups and they start to brainstorm about the topic. Okay, how do we go about it? So if they have to design an experiment, or if they have to conduct a particular interview, or they have to write a poem, or they have to explore something in history, so then children think of the questions that they want to ask during the learning, and that's something that is done during the brainstorming session. So every aspect of IBL is timed. It has to be time specific, because otherwise it can go on and on. We need to be very particular about whether we want to finish an IBL in an hour, or whether we want to break it up into modules across the week. So if you have 3 or 4 lectures, do you want to break the modules into those? You need to decide all those things. So a teacher, a facilitator has a lot of planning to do. So if it's well planned, I think a well-planned IBL is a well-executed IBL. If you're well-researched, it works well. You've done your brainstorming, then they put it up. They put it up on the notice board or on a whiteboard. And these things that are put up after brainstorming remain on the whiteboard or the notice board throughout the period of the IBL, as long as the inquiry is going on. If it's going on for a week, if it's going on for 2 weeks, these things are kept on the whiteboard and or on the notice board, and it keeps adding more and more things start to get accumulated in that corner, which is the IBL corner. After they have got the orientation, they have brainstormed together and they've put up, okay, these are the things that we want to learn. After that, individually, now they've worked as a group, they sit individually and answer a few questions. They formulate their hypothesis. It is not necessary it is done only in sciences. It can be done in other subjects as well. So I just am putting up a sample of a worksheet that the teacher uses in the class. So she goes, because it's a science class, this particular one, what the teacher has done is she's gone the lab way, but children are not doing any of these things in a laboratory. They're doing it in the classrooms, and they are doing an inquiry task. What are they doing? The first few questions, the first 2 questions, if we would observe, are questions which are asking the child to predict what would happen. If you put the egg in both the glasses, will the egg sink or float? So there are certain questions which are just leading questions, which make the children think about, okay, what would really happen if I do this? So the 2 questions are answered, they keep their worksheets away, and then they continue to work. Another example of a worksheet I've just shown. It depends on the grade and it depends on the activity that children are doing. There are different worksheets that teachers have. There are predictions that children make in this particular worksheet. If we would look, the 5th question is a prediction. So the teacher has asked certain basic questions. After the teacher has asked the basic questions, the teacher in the worksheet is asking them to predict what would happen. So there is prediction that takes place. And after that, the children are off to work. In those predetermined, pre-decided groups, the children start to work. Again, there are 2 ways in which this work goes on. One can be explorative, which means the children have done their research and tell the teacher, we want to do this particular experiment. 2, like the worksheet indicated, the experiment is already decided by the teacher, and the teacher gives them the materials required in the groups that they are. So 1 set of experiment apparatus for 1 set of children. When it comes to English or humanities, usually an IBL also can be conducted in a computer lab, because you have gadgets available and you can make 1 gadget available for 1 group, and that actually helps research, compilation, and then the work for basically English, humanities and all would be compilation of information. So this is something that they do. Even for mathematics, there's a lot of hands-on children are made to do. A story drafting would be done. After a story is made, they're made to move around. depending on the kind of topic that the teacher selects. You have to be very particular about selecting topics. All topics may not fit into an IBL method. So we need to keep that in mind as well. Sorry, we need to take into account what kind of a chapter, what kind of a topic would elicit those kind of responses and those kind of activities. So children go on to work, they start recording their work in the worksheet that is provided to them. Here, the different experiments. This was a time when children had decided to do different experiments. So we had just given them skeleton that we want these aspects included in your report. And children had decided they take complete onus of their learning. They take complete responsibility of what they do. That's something that is encouraged. Children are told that we have faith in you. Go ahead with the experiment. It is okay. You might make a mistake. It's all right. It's okay. You can make a mistake. It's all right. Please go ahead. Do it. Fail. It's all right. Nobody is going to beat you up for failing. We'll figure out what went wrong and we'll do it again. So or we'll look at the videos that will give us the right approach. So these are things that we encourage children on a timely manner. Yeah. This happens across grades. So this happens in a grade 8 class. It can happen in a grade 2 class. So depending on the topic, here they're looking at volume. So if the same volume you put in different sized containers, how would it differ? Would the volume change, or how and what are the implications? And they're small concepts, but again done in an inquiry manner. Okay, they have done their investigations. They've done whatever needs to be investigated, experiments. They've written down in their worksheet. All those things are done. And then now comes the time. The scientists, they're little investigators. These little investigators, then they get down to writing the final points and the team comes together. Sometimes the big team also breaks down into two teams. Okay, you do this, I do this. And lot of talking, lot of teamwork, lot of collaboration happens between those group children, the dynamics of the group. You have to accept other people's ideas. You have to let somebody else do it, not just do it on your own all the time. All those things emerge during these kind of activities. That is possibly why IBL is one of the most difficult but loved methods of teaching. The team comes together. They just trying to make the moon, the different phases of the moon. They come together. They put their analysis down on paper. They do it as a team. And then they have their individual worksheets, because individual work time, as we all would agree, is very essential. We do group work at a lot of times. Some children may get masked. Some children may get hidden because, okay, somebody is doing my work, so I am off it and it's all right. But that's not what we want. When we do any kind of activity, even if it is teamwork, we need to make sure that maximum learning happens. Yes, there are possibilities that some children might get left out. They just don't get it during that activity. The conclusion and the uptake of that topic after IBL for a short duration helps those kind of children. And we also try to make sure, at least in schools like ours, which are which work from only 8 to 2, teachers staying back till 4. Sometimes we keep children back, we explain the topics to them, and we help them individually to kind of come up. Otherwise, this becomes a beautiful pattern, and the teacher can actually figure out how many children have understood the experiment and the investigation to the level that the teacher expected them to. So they do the conclusion and the reflection. Reflection is, if something went wrong, what went wrong? Why do you think it went wrong? What could you have done differently? These kind of questions are asked to the children. Of course, now children are children. They would love to showcase what they do. So what we try to do is, it may not be possible in every IBL, but in some of the IBLs which are really good, the teacher takes out a little time in her class. And what she does is she just makes sure that the children put up their presentations, and we request the other classroom teachers to send their children in for 10-15 minutes. It's a quick presentation. So the children get to present their findings to their peer as well as to the juniors. And the juniors actually look up to these kind of presentations because then they are inspired and they feel, oh, okay, that's interesting. Someday we are going to reach there and we would be doing similar investigations. It's an inspiring process all the way. We don't need to just inspire all the time. We could just pave the way and the children would really do whatever is required to inspire. They not only inspire their peers and their juniors, but they also inspire us. And here, if you see, we try at least one in a term. One of the inquiries in a term, we call the parents, and we have a formal presentation in front of the parents, the grandparents, the family. The children gain confidence in themselves and they don't by heart. They have small, they're allowed to either speak on their own, exemplary, or they write. They're given practice a couple of times, but we try to make sure that they do it their way. It's just that we teach them the formal methods of public speaking. It kind of works well. Children and their confidence gets boosted a lot. And this is again one of the 21st century skills. You need to be a good communicator, like we just saw on the previous screen. You need to communicate clearly and accurately. There's a lot of onus on how you communicate. So that's something that we do. Now, based on inquiry-based learning, now inquiry-based learning normally happens in a subject, and that subject teacher is taking care of the inquiry. He or she gets into the class, decides what kind of investigation they want to do, what kind of findings they want to come, and how they want to conclude. Permissions are taken from the administrators like me and my coordinator. We give them the permissions, and then a large scale event is organized if required on a Saturday or on a Friday. We call parents for a very short time duration. Don't think that these events take forever or they take the whole day. We do not do that. There is almost no compromise into academic time, except for planning. We need to ensure that we're planning decently. And say somewhere in September, if our school starts at 8, our parents are in at 8:15. They know, just like BTTC as an alumni, I'm a stickler for time. So we try to be punctual. And if we tell them that we're going to start at 8:10, 8:09, we are ready. And 8:10, we begin the program. And if our program is scheduled for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, we stick to that time. So our parents appreciate the fact that it's a short activity and they can run to work even on a weekday. At the same time, children are extremely excited that yes, we presented it to our parents, and not only their parents, some of the co-classes. So we merge a grade 3 with a grade 4, grade 6 with a grade 7. Those kind of merges, the larger audience is available for children to present their work to. Now, the next aspect, interdisciplinary. I am sure all of us know this term. Disciplines are the different subjects that we teach in a classroom. Interdisciplinary. Now, one of the biggest concepts in education that possibly is emerging today, as a teacher myself, as a leader myself, I feel that children should not be taught concepts in watertight compartments, because if you just teach physics without giving them the correlations into real life experiences, it is not very relatable. And today children ask, why am I learning about this? Why are you wasting my time? And we need to tell them that you're not wasting time, and this is no waste of time. It's rather an investment of time, because you're discovering something which will help you later on for XYZ reasons. So there are times when we formally do interdisciplinary, and there are times when teachers informally do interdisciplinary study. I will speak about the formal ways in which we do the interdisciplinary study. So what we do is we're crossing different disciplines. So now this needs a little extra hard work, not just by one teacher. The teachers have to come together and they have to collaborate. So at the beginning of the year, before the academic session begins, so our Podar being predominantly a CBSE set of schools, we function from the April calendar. So our schools start in April and we work till March, and then we have a short break for our children in March, and then April again, the new cycle begins. So in March, when the exams are going on, children go home early. that time is utilized by us most effectively. And that is the time when we plan for the rest of the 365 days, starting 1st of April, right? So we sit together, grade-wise, teachers sit, subject teachers, they talk about the topics that they have. They talk about how and which unit, which topic should be taken under the interdisciplinary criteria. Because I have told the school, I have told my teachers that I need 2 interdisciplinaries happening through the year, 2 formal events that need to be done. So teaching has to go on. You need to make sure that you're assessing the children, they are learning. At the same time, they are making materials that can be presented in front of an audience, and our audience is none else but our parents. The children's work should be shown and showcased to their parents. That's how parents realize how much work their children are doing in the classrooms. So the teachers sit together, they brainstorm, they think about what should be the topic. Now, the beginning is we talk about an umbrella topic. So imagine an umbrella. The central rod is the central theme that we have for the interdisciplinary. And all the spikes that hold the umbrella are the different subjects. And each spike is helping this umbrella hold the cloth and protect us from the rain or the sun. In the same manner, we have an umbrella topic. What I would do now is I'll be showing you how roughly how this is done. Yeah. It basically allows children to realize that there's no watertight compartments. Learning of one discipline is not independent of the other. So this is something they see through interdisciplinary material. Yeah. So sometimes the theme has to cross borders. They have to cross not just English and humanities, but they also need to be applicable and relevant to sciences, to physical education, to art and design, and all those kind of subjects. How do we do it? Teachers sit together, they collaborate, they discuss, they write down the points. What are the ideas we can use if we have this theme, if we have that theme? So as mentioned right here, there are a plethora of themes that are discussed. Metamorphosis, Bon Voyage are some topics which were explored. Being alive was an umbrella topic for a class. Wonderful World, biography was another topic. So biography was a topic which was selected by all the disciplines. So science will do something about biography, mathematics, English, Hindi, even art, PE. So maybe you talk about a sports person. So maybe in that month, if my PE teacher is teaching them the skills of cricket, maybe he'll pick up a cricketer and speak about the story, the background of the cricketer. And because children are doing it in English, children would be told to write down the synopsis of the story and present it. So it's well orchestrated. And this is something where we spend a certain amount of time at the beginning of the year. And we confirm it for both the first term as well as the second term. Because as you all would agree, be it a B.Ed college or be it a school, once the session starts, it just rolls and the whole year moves at such a pace that you blink and open and you feel, oh my God, I've just finished an academic year. Where did the time go? So we need to ensure that we account time for planning. That, in my opinion, is extremely important for the success of teaching learning and the success of any innovative ideas that we want to bring about in a classroom. So I just tried to do something silly over here. I was teaching innovative pedagogies. I thought I have to be innovative, and look at my innovation. I put colors. You don't know me, but I just put colors. In a regular classroom, I would not have put these colors. I got an idea, why not make it a little colorful as we learn about innovative ideas. It's just simply to say that when we give different perspectives, when we give different angles to the same topic, children start to see the beauty of it. And just like colors bring beauty to everything that we see around us, integrated inquiry-based learning brings about a wonderful addition to children's learning abilities. Yeah. So what we do is teaching, the activities are decided common theme is decided. Children do projects, they do activities within the classroom. So you have a 30-40 minute class. Activities teachers plan. She's teaching the chapter, he's doing his mathematics, but the teacher has planned, okay, this is going to be my outcome for this class, and that is achieved. The teacher collects the worksheets, collects the charts. All of this is going on as teaching learning is happening. Okay, so a lot of engaging activities, hustle bustle going on. Sometimes an art teacher is going into a science class, sometimes he's going into the humanities class to make a pyramid, to make a mummy. How do you do mummification? If that is an inquiry question during interdisciplinary unit, it is taught by the art teacher. So children start to see who teachers from different streams are coming together to teach us this concept. It means there's some kind of commonality. And at the end of interdisciplinary unit, there's a presentation. The presentation is made to the parents on a particular day, and that day is called the student-led conference. So the parents, every individual child is given a short time to present in front of the parent body of their class. After that, individual children take their parents through their classroom, show them everything that they have made, all the charts that they have put up, all the learning that they have had. They speak and tell their parents. In a large class, we normally divide it. We give time. So divide 15 children or 20 children, get 20 parents in. You don't want overcrowding. So as per that, planning needs to be done so that during the working hours of a school, you can engage it. You don't need to do everything on the same day. You could possibly do one on a particular day, so the primary section and then maybe another section. Depending on the magnitude of the work, it has to be planned, but it is doable. If it is planned and executed by the leadership team and by the teachers, it's quite a nice achievement to have during the academic session. Yeah, so coming to examples, there's a part of the interdisciplinary. So the masks were made by the art teacher, and this was basically for an English class. And I think the children were taught the animal farm, if I'm not mistaken, because the chicks, and so that's basically what is shown here. So this was depicted. This was a grade 1 or a grade 2 class. It was last year or something, where the art teacher helped the children make mask, because mask making was a topic. So she integrated it with English and took it forward in this way. And we offer a small co-curricular called speech and drama. So dramatics came in between as well. And that's how 3 subjects came together to, we had this as a small culmination. They practiced it later on when their parents came. They did put it forward to them as well. Now, umbrella topic, giving examples. Students learn poems. In humanities, they learned about maps, because it's about being alive. So we have maps, we've living things, non-living things, parks, buildings, those kind of things relevant to their age, appropriate for their levels, are taken up. The factors that keep somebody alive, those kind of topics. And let's go into another grade 4, habitat and adaptation. Students learn about different habitats. So sometimes I think in grade 4 and all, in the learning habitat in English, sometimes you're learning persuasive writing, and in computers they're possibly learning how to make a small HTML page, something like that. So they bring this together, and they what they do is the brochure is made. Sometimes children, I'm an elephant. Some other child is a giraffe. There's another child who is a lion, and has to persuade the rest of the people to come to the savannah to live. They say, oh, such a beautiful place. Why don't you come? So using persuasive words, persuasive language, the children need to speak about the habitat. So they start to understand, oh, English is very relevant when I'm learning biology. So those kind of things do emerge. Mathematics, taking data. Children go down schools, we have trees, we have some plants around. So they measure the girth of the plant, and there's some calculations that they do, measuring the age or measuring certain things. So that's something that teachers devise. Teachers need to do a lot of research, like the video we saw. The teacher needs to research and analyze what would be the best fit for the class as she takes the concepts forward. When we talk about grade 5, they had biography to write, and they also went on to correlate the life and achievements of Dr. Ambedkar in humanities, and they learned about timeline and timeline calculations in mathematics. So there are topics which can be correlated. As a subject teacher, you become the expert there. So here, normally people like me, the leadership team takes a back seat. We're only scaffolding. We are only observing what is being done and giving guidance as and where required. There are certain expectations that are laid, and the delivery has to be done, because I cannot opine in math, or maybe I cannot opine in humanities, because it's not my place, it's not my expertise. So understanding the topics, we discuss, okay, what is an alternative? Do you have something else? Those kind of communications really help. Another thing that I have observed when we do an IBL or an interdisciplinary in school, somehow the teacher to teacher interactions become more positive. They collaborate more effectively. They become more responsible towards each other, and I think the dynamics even of the staff room becomes a little more fun. You all need to have fun, right? When we're teaching, we are in a profession, but it's something that we should be passionate about. And if we have fun, work becomes so much more easier for all of us. So it's an example of because we are a community school, we are at Thane, and within that area we have 2 or 3 preschools, and some of these principals of those preschools are good friends of mine. When I started the school, I used to speak to them, I used to understand several things from them, so much so that now we just collaborate with one another, and we do exchange resources. So the Reading Tree and Millennium Star are 2 preschools, and we send them to another school, Daffodils, as well. And we send children in small groups to these places where they're taking interview of the head of school, head of the pre-primary school. They're asking questions because they have to come back and make a biography. So they need to know what's the difference between an autobiography and a biography, and this is how they do it. So when they come back, they make the draft, submit it to the English teacher. The English teacher corrects it grammatically, whatever, they rewrite it. And what we do is, as a token of our appreciation, we give the head of schools one samples of the biography, the output, the outcome of the interview. So children gain confidence. They go out and they're not just learning from us, they're also learning from other seniors and understand how do they get into a particular profession. We've done that with a baker previously. We've done it with there's somebody who was the pizza owner, teacher's cousin, a pizza outlet. We spoke to them. Children get an understanding not only about how to interview, but also about the different professions that people take as they go forward. So these are opportunities that, if used nicely, it becomes very effective. Now, grade 6, very similar. It's not that we do interdisciplinary or IBL only in the lower grades. We take our interdisciplinary right up to grade 10. Right now, we just started with grade 11. So eventually, we will have our interdisciplinary also for grades 11 and 12. So this is something that is done. So if they're writing a story in fiction, the children learn how to write blogs. When they learn how to write blogs, the computer teacher teaches them how to create blogs, how to go responsibly, write responsible material and post it online. And they create a small group and they get comments from the parents and all, and the children are very excited because these are relevant things, because this is the world they are living in, and these are things that they're seeing around. This also gives us an opportunity, especially grade 6, 7 and all, to even talk to them about cyber issues and how they should take care, cyber safety. These kind of things also emerge during these kind of learnings. In math, you conduct a survey. Children move around from one class to the other at a lot of times. They go interviewing the admin team, taking down the tally. Are you a right-handed or a left-handed person? A lot of such surveys are done, and then it is concluded in a particular topic. These are very small things. If you would all notice, is, they're not big things that anybody is doing. They're very small, doable, measurable things that teachers are doing in their classroom. And those small measurable things come together. And when you look at it as a collage, it's a beautiful collage, and the outcome is beautiful. Yeah, that's my giveaway to you. If ever you would want to try it, it's because of this, because it's very doable. The planning needs to be done. Once you have the know-how, it's quite good. The PE teacher basically talks about that particular sport and takes things forward. Dioramas are normally made in the school itself, and this is somehow how, sorry if the fun photos, this is how it ends. Children present, there are plays, they enact some things, and with their class teachers, the mother teacher, at least till grade 5, they are all mother teachers. Most of the subjects are taught by the mothers only, but mother teachers, not the mother, I'm sorry. The mother teachers teach most of the topics, and then presentation in front of the parents. As you see in one side, you see that the parents have come and they are very interested and excited to see the learning that has emerged amongst their children. Now, we did inquiry-based learning, we did interdisciplinary learning. Had we been in a physical platform, we could have possibly had more interactions. I would have possibly given you those worksheets to do, and we could have explored a live IBL. But since this is the platform, I hope you all are able to grasp at least a few aspects of how the inquiry-based learning should be. The first video that I showed you was a video of a novice teacher, a teacher who had never done inquiry-based learning before. She did a lot of research. She had her peers to help her, and then she plunged into inquiry-based learning. I have put up the citations and the links for the YouTube videos at the end. If you watch this video again, you will find that this is a part of the four-part video. I've only taken the first part because this is just to trigger the excitement or an interest in you. Once you have gained the interest, and if you want to explore more, please look at all those videos. There's this kind of education is possibly done. We all think like that it's done abroad, it's done in some countries where the population is less. It's so much more easier for them to do. What I've come to realize is with planning, again, sorry, repetitive, but with planning and with methodical work, it is doable. It is doable in any scenario. It's just the willingness of the leadership team and the teachers. Even if you don't need the whole school to do it in your class. I started doing it like that. My IBLs were always in my biology class. I started it when I was a lecturer at Wilson College. I would take specimens, I would take some books with me from the library. Our department had a plethora, a big collection of books. I don't think anybody ever really used those books as much as I did. They were colorful pictures. I would take them to the class. I would show them to the children. I would, and children would be like, oh my God, the jellyfishes look so beautiful. Or a sea anemone, oh my God, it looks amazing. It's so colorful. But the one in the specimen jar is so gray. So it is all up to us how we want to do it. If you are excited, the excitement passes on. So having said that, I'll just show you a concluding part of the IBL. So these are your takeaways. Like, how do you do it? If you want to do an inquiry lesson, this is how you do it. Let's watch.
So we've seen what inquiry-based learning is, but how do we actually go about planning a lesson? There are 5 simple steps. Step 1 is the orientation. This is basically your introduction to the lesson, and it serves 2 main purposes. 1, to capture the interest of the class, and 2, to explore children's prior knowledge of the topic. A variety of tools may be used to engage the class in discussion. Perhaps there is a video, image or photo that might interest the children. Perhaps an open-ended question or problem might get the class thinking. The more relevant the content of the orientation to the children's own lives, then the greater the engagement and interest of pupils in the lesson. At this stage, the teacher's job is to draw as much information from the children as possible. Good questioning techniques are really important here. You can scaffold questions to help the children reach the concept or topic you want them to explore, or help them delve further into their own understanding and knowledge. Here are some examples of simple strategies you could use to get the class thinking. Think, pair, share. Children think individually, talk through their thoughts with a partner, and finally share these with the class. KWL charts. Here we look at what is known, what the students want to know, and after the lesson returning to see what was learned. Clouds of Wonder look at any questions students might have, while brainstorms are a great way to get all ideas, prior knowledge or thoughts about a topic on paper. Step 2 is the hypothesis. During the orientation, a lot of information is gathered. Based on this prior knowledge and information, there may be something that the student would like to investigate further. For example, questions may have been raised that students would like to find answers to, or a student may propose an explanation which needs to be further explored. This becomes the starting point for further investigation, a project or research. Step 3 is planning and investigation. At this stage, children may conduct an investigation, research for a project, carry out an experiment, or gather data to help answer the questions they have formulated. This will usually involve group work, collaboration, and assignment of roles. Here, students can use a variety of tools to help them. These might be technology-based, using the internet, designing and creating, or using other physical tools. Step 4 is analysis and interpretation. At this stage, the children examine findings and data for solutions. Do the findings match what they had predicted? Did the students discover anything surprising? The students must consider how they will present their findings. Here the children have the opportunity to use cross-curricular knowledge or skills. For example, children may like to create artwork. Others may like to incorporate music or drama. Perhaps the students might like to incorporate ICT, or create video, or produce PowerPoints. Maybe maths could be linked with the use of charts and statistics. Finally, we come to step 5, the conclusion. Here children gather findings and conclusions. They may have created a presentation, an artifact, display, or solved a problem which they can now present to their classmates or the teacher. As well as presenting findings, it's important for the children to reflect on what they have learned and to consider what went well or what didn't go so well. Let's recap. There are 5 parts to an inquiry-based lesson. 1. The orientation. This is the introduction which explores prior knowledge and hooks the interest of the class. 2. The hypothesis. This is the question or how. We've seen what inquiry-based learning is. How do we actually go about planning a lesson? There are 5 simple steps. Step 1 is the orientation. This is basically your introduction to the lesson, and it serves 2 main purposes. 1. To capture the interest of the class, and 2. To explore children's prior knowledge of the topic. A variety of tools class and discussion might interest children. An open-ended question or problem might get the class thinking. To the children's own lives, then the greater the engagement and interest of pupils in the lesson. At this stage, the teacher's job is to draw as much information from the children as possible. Good questioning techniques are really important. Questions to help the children reach the concept or topic you want them to explore, or help them delve further into their own understanding and knowledge. Here are some examples of simple strategies you could use to get the class thinking. Think, pair, share. Children think individually, talk through their thoughts with a partner, and finally share these with the class. KWL charts. Here we look at what is known, what the students want to know, and after the lesson returning to see what was learned. Clouds of wonder look at any questions students might have, while brainstorming are a great way to acquire knowledge and thoughts about a topic on paper. Step 2 is the hypothesis. During the orientation, a lot of information is gathered. Based on this prior knowledge and information, there may be something that the student would like to investigate further. For example, questions may have been raised that students would like to find answers to, or a student may propose an explanation which needs to be further explored. This becomes the starting point for further investigation, a project, or research. Step 3 is planning and investigation. At this stage, children may conduct an investigation, research for a project, carry out an experiment, or gather data of tools to help them. These might be technology-based, using the internet, designing and creating, or using other physical tools. Step 4 is analysis and interpretation. At this stage, the children examine findings and data for solutions. Do the findings match what they had predicted? Did the students discover anything surprising? The students must consider. Here the children gather findings, created a presentation, an artifact, display, or solved a problem which they can now present to their classmates or the teacher. As well as presenting findings, it's important for the children to reflect on what they have learned and to consider what went well or what didn't go so well. Let's recap. There are 5 parts to an inquiry-based lesson. 1. The orientation. This is the introduction, which explores prior knowledge and hooks the interest of the class. 2. The hypothesis. This is the question or proposed explanation. 3. Planning and investigation. This involves researching. 4. Analysis and interpretation. Children analyse their findings and look for solutions. 5. Conclusion. Children present their findings to the class and reflect on what they learned.
Okay. So, a question that I have is, if one would think, why should we have inquiry-based learning? I mean, why IBL? Why get involved in so much of work? My answer to that would only be, why not? Because possibly anything and everything should be taught in this way, for a simple reason that, for me, and I think most of the educators, teachers, teacher trainees, future leaders, all of us, when we come into becoming a teacher, or we are leaders, or we are educators, what we look at is a plethora of people that are put up right here on this screen. I mean, we need another Newton. I mean, not discovering gravity again, but someone who discovers something that is yet waiting to be discovered. A Madame Curie, Rosalind Franklin. I mean, what would we have done with DNA if we didn't have her? Columbus, the discoverer, who did what he did, we know about it. Sundar Pichai, Steve Jobs, Sudha Murthy. In all the ways that she's an innovator. She writes beautiful stories, and the other work that she does. J.K. Rowling, and our own late P.C. Thomas, Dr. P.C. Thomas, the founder of a very renowned school, Good Shepherd International School, and one of my personal favorites, Oprah Winfrey. We need such people in days to come, in years to come, for the future generation. And there's something that you do in your class that will leave that mark. There's something that each teacher goes into the class and does that leaves a mark. A good or a bad mark, I wouldn't comment on, because we really don't know how we influence our children. It is always our attempt to give our best. How it influences them, just pray that it positively influences them and they do something fantastic. I mean, these are people that we know of, but there are so many unsung, unspoken leaders and unspoken, innovators who make our lives so much more easier in today's day. And that's innovation, and that I feel comes from something that we do inside our classrooms. And let's continue doing that. Sorry, just quickly running through these things also, because in my opinion, I think children need to have a voice. They not only should listen to others, but they should also have an opportunity to express their things. Voice. What is it that I want to learn from this particular topic is something that a child should have some say in. I mean, though of course in higher grades we say, but the curriculum demands it and we need to finish. No doubt about it. But once we trigger that interest about why to study, say, calculus, or why to study poems, if that is triggered, the meters are explained properly, then understanding poetry becomes easier, even for a non-literature loving person. That is something that the teacher needs to instill, to create that interest. You love your teacher, you love your subject. You need to empathize. All of us need to empathize with the fact that not everybody will get your subject. Not everybody will love your subject. That's okay. Every child, every person has interests, and they'll be more inclined towards some subjects as opposed to other. It mostly doesn't have anything to do with us, but it's their like. But at least we can make their journey through a certain tough subject easy, comfortable, and we can empathize with the children. Another thing we always need to remember is whenever we do an activity, even in our regular class, supposing you just finished a tough chapter, reflect. Just ask, just ask the children as to, did you understand? What do you think was the most difficult part of this topic? Those kind of questions should be asked to the children. It's a good reflection time. We have times, our library periods, and even otherwise in the classroom, we have some slots which are called the dear time, that is drop everything and read time. So my question is, just like how we have time to read, to drop everything else we are doing and read, we should always have time to drop everything and reflect. There's some things that we keep doing if we finish our annual day, sports day. Teachers reflect, our children reflect, our student council children reflect as to what went right, what could have gone better. We take down the suggestions and thereby we improve. So improvement has to be through all stakeholders, and improvement can only come through feedback. Feedback comes through reflection. So that's a very important aspect that we all must remember. Sometimes I'll come to what I have put up here, but I think sometimes when we're teaching, children come up with fantastic analogies and they come up with really good ideas to teach the topic. Maybe because we taught it so many times that sometimes we forget the novelty to it. Some children may just come up with out of the world beautiful idea, and you're like, oh my God, I never looked at that perspective. I never looked at that concept this way. What happens with these kind of concepts, with these kind of teaching learning, we're giving opportunity to children to speak. And we also giving them the onus. Look, you have to maintain the discipline. If you keep jumping up and down, it's not going to help. But you need to make sure that you don't jump up and down and take onus of your learning. So if there's an unacceptable behavior, you need to speak, address it in the class, ask the children, you think this is an acceptable behavior? And we get them all on board onto our side. And then what happens is the class is brilliant and they're open to innovations. So here what I would do is I would be showing a particular image after this. Children are critical thinkers. We've been speaking about critical thinking. As to why we do something, how we do, all those kind of critical thinking does go on. This is something I wanted to talk about with respect to opportunities for innovation. This boy, he at that time was in grade 7, now he's in grade 8. Arnav, this was for interdisciplinary. So he had a regular cycle, a regular bike. He did something where he created a space to fill petrol and charge it up. So he watched something over the YouTube, and he is quite fond of technical material. So he makes small magnifiers, he'll make a small circuit, he does those kind of things, and he came up with this innovation. Our particular activity was planned for an evening, and we were not having a morning school. We were going to have this activity in the evening where children were presenting it to the parents. We had a couple of office goers in the vicinity. Many of them saw the cycle parked down, and they came, asked our admin team, what is this and who's made this, and then asked for a special permission. They took special permission, came into school to just see what this kid had made. And sometimes this boy is a disruptive boy. He creates a lot of ruckus in the class, and teachers always have something to tell him. And when we saw this part, and even otherwise, what we need to remember is all children are intelligent and they're really capable. They're just possibly not engaged enough, because of which they create situations to attract attention. As teachers, we have to keep trying. It's not easy. We have to keep trying to make sure that all our children are catered to and all their needs are met with. Problem solving, to be seekers. See, when children work together, they may have issues, they may have shortage of materials, they may not have something to discussing how to manage, what to do. All of this, IBL, inquiry-based learning, as well as interdisciplinary projects, give them an opportunity for doing that. And these are things, if you would notice, these are 21st century skills. These are skills that our children require today. They need it. It is the need of the hour. They have to be problem solvers, reflective, open to innovation, connected learning. Now, what I've realized recently, I've, like all of us, somewhere from March, we've been under lockdown. April, school started. We started teaching on this platform. Realized we are lifelong learners. We really learned a new technology. Today I'm on Zoom, a platform that I very rarely use. I could pick it up readily because of the willingness. I had my teachers helping me out, at the same time my willingness to accept the information they were providing. So there are times when maybe as a biology teacher also, my information may not be enough. I do not have field experience. I have been a teacher. So sometimes inviting guest lecturers into class gives children a beautiful perspective. Today, this kind of a pandemic situation, this extraordinary time that we are passing through, have given us a small insight into possibilities into teaching learning in future. You don't need to invite a guest lecturer into your classroom. You can just invite a guest lecturer onto a virtual platform, and possibly that way save their time as well as ours. If we schedule it well, it's quite possible for us to really schedule a nice session with some really good resource people, and children can really benefit. I think that's what BTTC has been doing. I don't even need to speak about this point because it's leading by example, and that's an opportunity that we've got now to do. Towards conclusion, we need 21st century learners. We need engaged students. We need to
excuse me, Miss Aruna. Can
yes,
you disable the annotation from your side? That
ma'am, I don't have any annotations. This is
no,
coming from someone else.
Participants are doing that is enabled. Now you have to disable it from the view.
Okay.
From the view option, just see that.
I'll check 1 minute. In the view option. What? Show me.
From the top green.
Yeah.
Their view options are there.
Yeah, I can see annotate and 3 dotted lines.
Ma'am, there is a more option.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah, and then if you go in the more, you'll find disable participation.
Yeah. Done it. Did it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
And ma'am, you just have to clear the drawings. Like on top only, if you go and annotate, clear all drawings you'll get.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. Have I frozen? Hello. Yeah.
You are audible.
So as we spoke, we are looking at working with children. We are working with making them innovators, but we cannot make that happen unless and until our teachers, the torch bearers, are actually taught, trained, and we really do not get too many resource people from outside. There are times when Podar have in-house trainings and all. Teachers attend trainings. We attend Cambridge trainings as well. But more than that, we have in-house training times, micro teaching that you have in the college. We have these kind of sessions where teachers form small groups. They interact with different teachers. We make random groups so that they're not always with their friends, and they're given activities, and they're made to think out of the box, and they are also supposed to present it at the same time. Then we speak about certain topics, certain nitty-gritties of the curriculum, and how we can take it forward. These are things which in my opinion is very essential in order to ensure that there is a good teaching learning experience. A lifelong teacher, a lifelong learner, teacher is a lifelong teacher. A teacher needs to learn twice. Once I remember I had written a quote up at college at BTTC only, that teaching means learning twice. So every time we go into the class, before we enter the class, we need to learn again. We need to think, okay, what do I do better today? What is it that I do? So as long as you have the spark, you continue to ignite the spark in your children. And today in this online, during this online time, something interesting is we have tried it at school. I don't have evidences for it right now, but we've done IBL on this digital platform. Actually, I teach 11th standard right now, and those children are given materials. Children research on materials, come and present their materials. So short topics given as inquiry lessons. We even do a concept of flipped learning, where you give videos, they learn about it, they come back and they ask questions. So an IBL or an interdisciplinary project is not rocket science, is not something that you're not doing in your regular schools. Actually, a teacher is doing all of this. We spoke about think, pair, share. We spoke about brainstorming. We were speaking about small activities, small teaching methodologies. All of this is included in IBL. All of this is included in an interdisciplinary project. So technically thinking of it, all of us are doing it. It is just making it a little more constructive if we're not doing it yet, and presenting it. Presentation is something that is really loved today, and it should not be just restricted to a particular school running a particular pedagogy, because no particular school or curriculum says you cannot run an inquiry-based learning. Children learn beautifully and very thoroughly. They articulate better. At the same time, what I feel is children start learning that there are other people whom I can listen to, I can engage with. I need to be kind to others. I need to be compassionate. I really cannot act like a bad person and not tolerate or accommodate somebody I really do not like that much. Children need to understand that they need to tolerate each other. This saying I liked, I picked it up from somewhere, somebody's blog. I don't remember, so I've not given credit towards here. There's this educator who's also a blogger. What he wrote is, some of the best referees are the ones who you never notice. I don't know when it comes to games, but I think when it comes to teaching learning, that's usually the case. There are times when you will get into a class, and if it's an interdisciplinary or an active learning class, sometimes you might not be able to find the teacher. You're like, where's the teacher? Okay, she's amongst the children. So you become a learner with the children. The journey becomes so much more beautiful. You should be able to walk into the class and tell the children, I don't know, why don't you tell me about it? Why don't you find out and come back? If we plan, I think any curriculum, I've done that with my ISC children as well, and they come back, they tell us the details, and then we take it from there. be able to explore is something which is very interesting, which is really worth taking note of. Students were also teaching. Students tend to teach us a lot of things. Ma'am, not this way, ma'am, this way. So some of the interesting things that you would look and find in today's classrooms: the child's voice, child's choice, the need for reflection, the need for staying connected. If you can assess yourself, how well do you think you did? And genuinely, I mean, do you really think you did that well? No, I think I could have improved. Super. You know, the child telling himself or herself that, no, I think I had scope for improvement there. I think I could have done that better. Brilliant. That's something that makes things very successful. A very realistic, a very assessing kind of a child goes a long way, even in their career. I should be able to assess myself that did I do this presentation well? Did I engage at least a few people in understanding about a particular concept? That does help. An interesting thing that I stumbled upon when I was just trying to do a little add-on to what I'm teaching, and towards the end of it, I think this is amongst my last slides. Online business. So I stumbled upon a particular website. They were taking care of business administration courses, and they offer physical campus where children can learn, and they also have off-campus teaching. So the interesting part of off-campus training is just this, that everything's online. Now, this is a time where people are actually thinking that we should have off-campus teaching. I have had people who tell me that, I'm going to homeschool my child now. I don't think we need school, and I think I can take care of education. One would think in such conditions that, yeah, okay, homeschooling is a better idea. Anyway, everybody is online. What's the point of a school? Textbooks we can teach. Totally agreed. And I really resounded with the way this particular person wrote about it. You can teach, but the interactions, the social interactions. When a child is moving out of the class, going to the washroom, the child may meet a peer, a fellow classmate. The child may meet a senior, a junior. To talk, to communicate with seniors and juniors, to associate with them during an activity are all things that are only learned in educational institutions. And when it comes to schools like mine, we're teaching from grades 1 to grades 10. Most of the teaching happens from grade 1 to grade 7. Most of the fundamental teaching, the manners, the etiquettes, all of these things just come unknowingly while we teach in our classrooms. So teachers become second parents. And socializing, breaking boundaries of nationality, because sometimes you have children, because today people are globetrotters, people are moving across the world, and people from other countries coming into our country. So that tolerance to accept everyone, no matter how different they are from us, accept them, tolerate them, understand their beauty, and bring them together. So that is something which I feel is a part of today's learning. And online is good, but we need to get back to school and to college to experience each other in the physical presence. We are human beings, we are social beings, and we only thrive in the presence of others. And we are the best when we have people around us. We cannot really exist in isolation. So there's some references that I have put up here. These are the video links that I use, some of the blog spots. So I think I have given credit to the person who spoke about the referee. There's some pictures that I took up. I've just put up some references here. And happy place, isn't it? Our kids will make this place a happy place, and the happy children, happy teachers will make the whole world a better place. And I end my presentation with this.
And
thank you.
You can now stop share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
At the outset, Ms. Aruna, I can say that it was a wonderful presentation, and everyone in the YouTube and as well as in the Zoom appreciated your presentation. There is a lot of appreciation. And a few questions are there, the student participants want to know. And the first few questions that are related to, please share some ideas that can be done for grade 6 to 10 maths. No, it is asked by Yogita and as well as Sana Dalvi. So you already given some examples, but particularly for maths, if you can give some examples.
Okay, one of the examples that I spoke previously, one or two of the things that my teachers have done was statistical analysis. So data collection becomes a very interesting thing that children can move around and collect data. So that is something that I have seen teachers do, where they come up with some, if they're learning in biology, some concept. So to collect information. So, ask people, interview people about 2-3 aspects, and you do the tally mark, you collect information, and then you present it across. That was something that comes off my, as I think there are a few more topics that they usually do. So a lot of addition kind of topics, word problems I have observed that teachers are very happy to do during an IBL session, because the stories of English or the stories of Hindi or humanities help the teachers. So there is a story, and based on the story, there are certain topics in grade 6 and 7 where children have to do word problems. But what we have understood, what Cambridge tells us to do is, you first teach them how to make a word problem. The minute they understand how to make a word problem, they will be able to solve the word problems. So at a lot of times I've seen teachers do this. They give them a situation and tell them, now you make a word problem. So then children make word problems with the correct terminologies, because word problems are very tricky. Our children lose marks in word problems because there is some underlying thing that we do not understand because of that. So that is one. And statistics and graph based topics, graphical topics, again, it's a data related topic. So graphs can also be taught using some kind of real life scenarios. That's what comes to me immediately. If I remember anything, I will add on as we go forward as well.
Amraja Paranjpe, he want to know project work many times parents are doing. So how you handle it?
Yes, that's I think one of the most important things that we have to take care of. We have a system of sending a monthly planner. So today we are at the 23rd of July. So around the 29th of July or the 28th of July, we send across to the parents via the school portal the monthly plan for the coming month. So in that, we also write, if we are having this interdisciplinary or an inquiry-based activity, we tell the parents, please send us a shoebox, please send us to table tennis balls, small things that are required. We tell the parents to send it, and we usually ask them to send it to school. So like I said, we try to account for some time during the class. So the teacher, it's an ongoing process. So every class, maybe she'll give 5 or 10 minutes to do the project. Children are told, you will not get any more time. So that's your deadline. 15th August is your deadline. If you do not finish by then, our work is going to be half done. So that sense of responsibility and sense of urgency triggers things in children. And something interesting about children, especially grade 3 or 4 onwards, because they've slightly become responsible, they, even during the lunchtime, they'll finish their meal and they may have that 5 minutes that they keep aside for playing. That 5 minutes they utilize for making the projects. So what we try to instill is, it's okay, it can be basic. You're not marked on the aesthetic beauty of your project. We want to know what you understood, how you made it, and that's what's going to fetch you any score. So that, and we have something called a rubric. Normally, like if you have an elocution or a debate in school, what do? You have certain criteria, and based on that criteria, you keep marking. So when you have a project, have those criteria. Is it authentic work? So when children are doing it in school, we are seeing, is the child listening to all my instructions? Is the child able to cope well? all those things become parameters to mark. And then we get a more holistic score for the project.
Thank you, Aruna. Now I call Reshmi Ashok. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Reshmi Ashok is there? Or Nikhil Singh? He wanted to ask something. In the chat box, he is asked about yeah.
Good afternoon, madam.
Hello, good afternoon.
Your presentation is very fantastic and really energetic. But I have one question. How do you motivate all your staff members teaching in the manner you have shown? Is there any weekly seminar or monthly seminar for them?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's, I think, regular, constant motivation is one of the toughest things for a leader to achieve for 2 or 3 reasons. See, one reason being there are times when, it's a fact that people move from one place to the other. So staff attrition. So, there was a team who worked well. 2 people have gone, new people have come in. So that changes the dynamics. But all said and done, that's human nature. So, like I said, in March, we start with having a common session where all the teachers come in. We speak about what all we need to plan. And then teachers break into smaller groups. And what I do during this time is I have my full attention for the teachers. So I go into all the groups where they are planning. And if they have concerns, they tell me, Aruna, we are stuck here. Can you come and sit with us? So I sit with them. So possibly my involvement in the whole process adds on a small percentage of confidence that, okay, she's behind us. In case we have queries, she's there to answer. That is one. And the second thing is we try to focus on the end result. So at the beginning, they're confused and they're like, oh God, how is this going to happen? What is she expecting out of us? They have planned. I say, okay, execute a little. So every week, like you asked, we work on 2nd and 4th Saturdays. We don't work on all Saturdays. So on 2nd and 4th Saturdays, if we have this kind of an activity going on, even otherwise, we have reflection time. So around 30 minutes of the 4 or 5 hours teachers come into school is spent for this. Either it is a whole team meeting or it's a meeting depending on the group of teachers. And what we do is we try to answer the question. So where are you? What is not happening? So what are the laggings? Do you think that the topic selected is not up to the mark? So initially, in the initial days, we even give them the flexibility. Okay, you want to change the topic, change, it's okay. The flexibility, then they do it. And it goes on systematically. So it is a timely motivation. Regular motivation is a factor, is a very big factor in keeping teachers also motivated. I would say this, I mean, when I see your comments, it's motivating for me. I feel very nice that, oh, okay, I could send across some information to my fellow peers and they could enjoy and understand things from it. So it makes me a little more confident to do it the next time. Adults or children equally need motivation. So what we do is maybe at the end of the session, once the activity is a success, we do stay back immediately at that time. The teachers don't go back home after. Supposing 7 o'clock we finish the session, 15 minutes, we have a cup of tea and we'll just discuss what went right, what went wrong in 5 minutes. Each one just opines and tells, and then they go off, and then we have a formal report writing and we write down the anecdotes. This outcome, when it comes out nicely, that also then motivates the teacher. So constant motivation, my presence. So I feel as leaders and as some teachers, I think in all groups, if you can have 1 or 2 teachers who are very enthusiastic about it, it kind of adds to the fervor of the group. That takes them together. And the why do you want to do it? I think ultimately we need to tell all the teachers, you need to find the why power. Why am I doing it? So that might help us motivate children. I hope that is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you.
And I would like to share that in our B.Ed curriculum, we have incorporated that interdisciplinarity. The students has to do some lessons on combining two subjects, and also they are doing cooperative and constructive and all that, and they are also doing inquiry-based learning in their practice teaching and as well as in the B.Ed. So that is, we are taking care of that aspects. Now we are concluding the session. No more questions. So now
Priya,
I call upon.
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
When I moved out of B.Ed, initially, I must say this in this forum also. So I started teaching in Wilson College without a B.Ed degree.
Yeah, right.
So I was of the opinion that I didn't need a B.Ed degree. I taught, and slowly I felt no, it's a professional program, and I should do it. I came to BTTC, and ma'am, like you correctly said, some pedagogies you learn by doing, and it's the opportunities that the B.Ed college like BTTC provides that makes students into good teachers. That's making us try to strive to be the best we can. That really helps. So thank you to all the BTTC teachers. I think there are a lot of times I talk about you. I have a few teachers who've joined me from BTTC from time to time. So it's an honor to be associated with you all.
Thank you for the appreciation and comment. Now I call upon Anju Konai for giving vote of thanks. Anju?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Technology is best when it brings people together. In this session, when everyone is together, in a midst, it's my pleasure and duty to propose the vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this webinar a success. The only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible, and that is what creates innovation. On behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, I extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mrs. Aruna Mundia, ma'am, for gracing the occasion and sharing her expertise with us. We have learned many things from you, ma'am, today. One of the things which I will remember forever is that a teacher needs to learn twice. So we learned a lot about it, and this knowledge will help us become successful teachers in the future. So I would like to thank our in-charge principal, Dr. Bhagwan Balani sir, our organizing secretaries, Dr. Ansari sir, and Sapna Chabria ma'am, and Dr. Priya Pillai ma'am for being a mentor to me, and all of my professors from Bombay Teachers Training College for cheering and helping us with their constant guidance and support. I would also like to thank all the student volunteers who work tirelessly. Thank you for your kind support. And thank you BIAP team for their technical assistance. Also, we wouldn't have made this webinar a success without our audience. I warmly express my special thanks to our audience for their generous support and for being a part of this webinar session. I would request our audience to stay tuned and join us for our next webinar session of this series, which is going to be on 25th of July. Also, please do fill the feedback form. I request everyone to rise for the national anthem.
Wonderful session, Aruna.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
It was really very inspirational.